I saw the title of this movie and I said, I'm watching it. Hands down. It's called Popeye's Revenge. 2025 movie. Pretty new. And when I clicked on it, I saw this picture. I'm like, oh yeah, I made the right choice. So it's a horror movie where Popeye is a killer. And let me ask you something about horror movies. What does a horror movie need to be good? Sure, innovation in terms of making a horror movie is always good. That leads to like legendary horror movies that change the industry. But your average run-of-the-mill, not really breaking new ground in terms of cinematic history, there's a formula, right? What do you think?
Creative fear of the unrealistic.
Creative fear of the unrealistic? Okay, sure. Absolutely. And they do that with Popeye. Well, and one of my complaints about this movie is there's no talking. Like, Popeye doesn't say a thing, which, a little bit of that would have been fun. Just in the darkness. And so they turned Popeye into this deranged killer. It has like a Jason Voorhees kind of thing. And there's a lot of derivative elements of this, except with a celebrity makeover, which was Popeye, which I guess is public domain now. So, there's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. So, so they made him this horrible killer with a slightly nautical theme. I would have made him like a crazy sailor who, killed people, or I don't know. That's just me. But there's certain elements that you need to have in a movie, a horror movie, B-horror movie, in order for it to be good. One, you need a slew of hot chicks in skimpy outfits. And you got that. And like I said, I'm in my, I no longer want to play with G.I. Joes. I want to get laid. So I appreciate that. So you're going to need a slew of scantily clad hot chicks, even if their accents are kind of difficult to muddle through. It's a British movie. And so we appreciate that. There's some very poorly acted simulated sex. And bad acting is always fun in a B movie. And so I appreciate that as well. That's also an element. You also need some gruesome deaths, and you do get that in a horror movie. I don't know. I don't really judge gore levels. It wasn't super gory. I don't know. Like EK probably wouldn't like it because it's gory enough for him.
I don't like gore at all.
He doesn't like
gore.
gore.
The more unrealistic the gore, the easier it is for me to take.
The gore does look kind of realistic, but the absurdity of it being Popeye doing this kind of takes you out of it anyway. So, and plus there's tons of little things. Like, I was like halfway through the movie and there's this one scene where I decided, and I took out my notebook and I said, I'm reviewing this movie, period. And it's a scene where, like, that Popeye's in the building, right? And he's looking for the kids. And the kids are like, what's going on? I don't know. And then this empty can of spinach rolls in. And they're like, what is that? They shine their flashlights. What is that? I don't know. And then Popeye shows up and and I laugh hard like that. And
do you hear the music?
Huh?
Do you hear the Popeye theme?
No, they probably couldn't use the music. That's probably newer. You know what I mean? Not necessarily public domain. The IP is public domain, not like the music. Like, for example, you can't use Robin Williams clips. Rest his soul. And gruesome deaths, absurd, like kind of a cookie cutter killer background with like I said, celebrity makeover, and a slew of hot chicks dying gruesome deaths. So all the proper elements for a good B horror movie. And B horror movies should make you laugh because you can't take it too seriously. Like Evil Dead 1 and 2, like the first Evil Dead movies, the only ones I like. I've argued with so many people about this. It's like, you don't like Army of Darkness? And it's like, no. You don't like the show? No. I like the first one and the second one because they knew they were shitty movies.
The second one is the first one again.
Yeah, it was kind of the first one again, a little bit expanded upon. And they knew they were shitty movies, and so they just had fun with it, But in Army of Darkness, they started taking themselves seriously. They got green screens, they got the little miniature ashes and stuff like that. And it's just like, you're starting to take yourself too seriously, I'm out. And so that's why I give this movie 6 of 13 stars for a B movie.
Which is good for a B movie?
Which is good for a B movie. And that's kind of my point. Is like, if it was innovative in the way like they did some shots or something like that, I could push it up to 7 or 8. But because it's kind of a cookie cutter plot in many ways, it's just a standard formulaic horror movie. But that's pretty good because it was entertaining, even though it was quite predictable. But it was fun. Anyway, let's get to the news worth knowing.